Welcome back. Sobering news from state health officials this week. Deaths from drugs laced with fentanyl are up by 97% from 2019 to 2021. That's according to new data. I am joined by Dr. Jasmine Zapata, Chief Medical Officer for the Department of Health Services. Doctor, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So as best as we can tell, what is prompting this rise in deaths? What are some of the headline findings from this data?
Yes, what we're seeing is that fentanyl is really what is driving the increase in opioid deaths across the entire state, and the time for action is now. In the last year, synthetic opioids, particularly fentanyl, were found in 91% of opioid deaths and 73% of drug overdose deaths in general. And what we're seeing is fentanyl is being found in up to 40% of counterfeit pills as well, in doses high enough to be lethal.
Who are we seeing this being impacted by most? Like, where are the greatest impacts of the rise?
That's a great question. We're actually seeing it across the board. We're seeing it across the state and across all age levels. In particular, of concern are a rise in young people, children, and even young adults who have lost their lives because of this.
Are we talking potentially dozens of teenagers dead? Where are the metrics for that?
Yes. Over the last 2 years, from 2019, or actually 3 years, from 2019 to 2021, we have seen a sharp increase. Initial data shows that fentanyl deaths increased nearly 100%, 97% to be exact, and that does impact all age groups.
What do we know about how these people are getting introduced to the drug? Are they regular users? Are they dying from a single first-time try?
We're seeing this happen across the board in different scenarios. So there are some individuals who are regular users, but also we've heard stories of children and young adults taking a pill for a first time, thinking that it might be Adderall or oxycodone pill, a single pill that is laced with fentanyl, and they are being poisoned, and that one pill has taken their life within hours.
That's heartbreaking. I mean, the impact to the families is huge. Have you been in touch directly with any of these families? What are you hearing from them?
That's a great question. Yes, we have. In fact, just a few days ago, we sat down with quite a few parents who have lost children to this fentanyl poisoning. And I'll never forget, they asked before we even start the meeting, we would like to show you pictures of our children. And they each held up pictures of their children. And it was just very, very touching. And it let me know, and it let us know that all of these statistics and numbers that we hear are important, but we cannot forget that behind every single number and statistic, these are real lives, real stories, and real families impacted.
What is it about fentanyl that makes it so widely available, so much more common than years past?
Yes, great question. So there's a few factors that make fentanyl so dangerous. Fentanyl is extremely potent, and also it causes a enhanced type of euphoria or high that individuals may not have experienced before, and that could be very addictive. And so that's why we're seeing an increase as well. And then also just the composition of some of the substances and even these fake pills are starting to have more and more fentanyl over the last few years we've been seeing here in Wisconsin.
Do we know anything about how this increase might be compared to other states and what they're seeing across the country?
Great question. This is a national issue that is hitting home right here in Wisconsin, but this is not unique to Wisconsin. This is a public health emergency nationwide.
What should somebody know right now, things they can do with even perhaps not, without authorities getting involved? What can they do to protect themselves?
So there's many things. We at DHS recently released a public health advisory that gives a lot of details about what specific groups can do and in particular and specific action steps. In that public health advisory, we also highlight our Dose of Reality campaign. And in that Dose of Reality campaign, there are resources for individuals who use substances. Also, there are resources for family members, schools, community groups to look at. So a variety of resources. In particular, just a few. Fentanyl test strips are an important tool in our toolbox as we combat this public health crisis. Fentanyl test strips, they are legal in Wisconsin and available for purchase and can be used to detect fentanyl. So we encourage people to look into that, the use of fentanyl test strips. In addition, we would like to raise awareness about Narcan. Narcan is something that can actually reduce, or not reduce, but can reverse the impacts of fentanyl or other opioids and can potentially save lives. And so Narcan is available at pharmacies and also available through our Narcan Direct programs across the state.
Important information. Anything I've missed here that you'd like to raise as well?
Yes, I'd also like to raise that prevention and education are things that are extremely important. We can be very reactive in these situations, but it's also very important to be proactive as well. When I talked with many of the families and parents, they said they wish that more people across the state would talk to their children and young people very, very early about the dangers of substances and drugs and things like that. It's something that we say all the time, but that was just something that was lifted up. We can be reactive, but let's be proactive as well and raise awareness and education about this very important topic.
All right, Dr. Zapata, thanks so much for coming on and sharing a few minutes of your expertise.
Thank you.
All right, up next, chilling new details about rising heat waves across the country over the coming decades.